My name is Marietta Mahani, and this week we're going to do a classic movement pattern that every instructor has ever taught. It's classic, everybody does this. So 2 dumbbells in your hands, legs up, horizontal jack. Okay, what's so cool about this? Well, there's actually quite a few things, and I want to focus on the technique. Yeah, so what it is that you need to communicate to your participants to get the best benefit out of this exercise. Well, there's a few different things that you can actually work with this exercise, and that is both the upper and the lower body. Let's talk about the upper body first. Now, option 1 for those people who ever have injuries, etc., is to have the dumbbells underneath their armpits. But that's option 1, and we won't go through that in any detail here because it doesn't really affect the upper body. But when you hold the dumbbells out to the side and lift the legs up off the bottom and close and open the legs, if I let my dumbbells sit up near the surface, I don't really have to work my upper body very much. But if I push the dumbbells just under the surface, it's such a good latissimus dorsi exercise. And that's important because that depresses the shoulders. It sort of works in the opposite direction to what your upper trapezius does. It also helps with retracting the scapula, so those rhomboid muscles and lower trapezius and middle trapezius get activated, which is so important from a postural point of view. So if I hold the dumbbell underneath the water, yes, and I'm not even gripping. So my fingers are relaxed and I'm opening and closing my legs. Now the next thing that you want to focus on is what the legs are doing, of course. And you want to move your legs quickly enough that you can feel your inner thighs working. You want your inner thighs pulling the legs in, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing. So the focus is inner thighs, outer thighs, inner thighs, outer thighs. And if you tell them that that's what they need to do and what they need to focus on, it will change the way that they're moving. It might not be obvious from pool deck, but you want to have that communication. Can you feel it in your inner thigh? Can you feel it in your outer thighs? You pull out. So squeeze, open, squeeze, open, squeeze, open. Now the next thing that I want to just share with you is that you want to maintain good posture in that your shoulders are above your hips, and that means that your feet are underneath the water. So I'm pressing the dumbbells down in the water, I'm bringing my legs up, and I'm trying to bring my shoulders over my hips the entire time. Now what sometimes happens is this. And now I could do this all day. Doesn't require any effort. It's pretty hard to push the shoulders down or the dumbbells down here. And I'm basically allowing my feet to come to the surface. Now, if you let the feet come to the surface, they've relaxed too far and their abdominals are not engaged at all, not possible. So ask them to keep their shoulders over their hips, and their abdominals will activate automatically if you ask them to make sure that they feel this in their inner and outer thighs as they pull and push their feet apart. So they squeeze in, adduction, adduction, oof, 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 oof. And it's quite an effective exercise for these deep abdominal muscles as long as they keep their shoulders over their hips. So what I wanted to do today was break down a classic exercise that we've all done a million times, but talk a little bit more about the technique. Just one more tip. Heels together, toes pull back, rather than pointing the toes. Pointing the toes makes you want to lie back. So bring the toes back towards the shins, and click the heels together. So focus on clicking the heels together. It always feels better when you've got shoes on, it does. But even if people don't have shoes on, get them to pull their toes back towards their shins and drive the feet together. And that is this week's Aqua tip.
Land demonstration of that horizontal jack. Let's face it, it's not going to be hard as long as you have a chair. Otherwise, you have to suspend yourself in air, which clearly is not going to happen. And if you've got a chair, it's better. Of course, if you don't have a chair, you can sit on pool deck and demonstrate. And there has been times I've had to do that because I just didn't have an accessible item to sit on. But if you've got a chair, it's great. So you demonstrate the arms out to the side and you lift the legs up and down. But what you have to do here as an instructor is do a lot more coaching. And that means rather than focusing on the demonstration, you're now really drilling in on the specifics. But remember what I mentioned in the pool, right? So have your arms out to the side, Or if you want to work a bit harder, press the dumbbells down just a little bit lower in the water. You can release the fingers here if you want to. Keep your shoulders directly over your hips. So sit up as straight as possible so your feet should stay underneath the water. And then with your toes pulled back, click and push and open your legs in and out. So it's nice if you can make a little bit of sound with your feet, if your class can actually hear that on top of the music and everything else. But watch the difference. If I go out in and then I go oof, 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 you'll see that there's a little bit of body movement. Now, if you watch the section where I'm in the pool a little bit more closely, you'll actually notice the difference of when I was really applying myself, and you can actually feel that little bit of body movement. And that's what you're looking for your participants as well. It's going to give you a really good indication of the intensity that they're actually applying, because of course you can't see it or feel it yourself because you're looking from pool deck, and it's, you know, you can't see any white water. There's no white water at this exercise. It's all happening below the surface. So be on the lookout for like a little bit of effort that's required. It's happening with the torso as they try and push and pull their feet apart. Use the word click your heels together. I think that that's an effective way. Tell them where they're supposed to feel it. Once you feel this in your inner thigh, I also want you to try to feel this in your outer thigh. It's going to be determined by how much you push your feet together. Now, just a little tip from a demonstration point of view. The back of the chair is something that we don't often use as instructors, and I highly recommend it. You know, this is quite a hard exercise to demonstrate, especially because you've got these hip flexors that can be really fatigued really quickly with doing this activity. So use the back of the chair. Once you've demonstrated the arms and what you want them to do, and you're demonstrating the legs, hold on to the back of the chair because it will help you with lifting your legs up. Yeah, rather than having your arms out here and doing the whole thing, your legs are going to drag down towards the floor, right? So use the back of the chair, sit up really close to the back of it, and that's great because then you can demonstrate that posture on the side. And then use it to help lift your legs up, especially if you want to demonstrate the intensity. Then you can go ahead and grab the dumbbells again and then reiterate what they need to do with their arms. Reiterating or repeating yourself after you've given a cue is a really effective way to bring it back to front of mind. There's so many different things that you can coach here, and they'll often forget what they were supposed to be focusing on with the arms at the beginning if now the focus becomes the legs. So go back, repeat the cues. Don't be frightened of doing that. No one's getting bored and no one's, you know, oh my gosh, she's saying it again. As long as you don't keep repeating the same phrase again. Open, close, open, close, open, close. That's repetitive. But if you explain how to close, how to open, what to do with the arms, that all becomes much more interesting and much better coaching. And that is this week's Aqua tip.